Now, more than 200 people are known to be dead or missing after Saturday's earthquake in China. The authorities in Sichuan province say that more than 11,000 people have been injured. Well, rescue workers have now reached some of the most remote mountain villages in the area.
These are the security camera images of the earthquake that ripped through parts of southwest China on Saturday. The quake struck just after 8 a.m. local time, and most of the damage was centered on Lushan in Yan'an city, which has a population of 1.5 million. It knocked out power and water supplies across towns and villages in Sichuan province.
My wife, my child and my father were all at home when it happened.
Are they all safe now?
My daughter's right there. She's seriously injured.
Her father was trying to save her. Her head was hurt by falling rubble when he was carrying her out of the house.
Survivors are still being found and rescued 2 days and a night after this earthquake hit. Thousands of soldiers with military helicopters that are now ambulances are taking the injured out. The death toll appears to have stopped rising significantly, but there are an alarming number of wounded. Some 11,000 at the latest count, 1,000 of them critical. Hospitals across the region are doing what they can, but with limited resources and power. They are chaotic.
Most of the injuries and traumas are on cerebral and bone. Some cerebral trauma patients have been sent to intensive care units. All the medical workers here are busy with taking care of all patients.
Rescuers use whatever machinery comes to hand as the search for survivors of China's worst earthquake in 3 years goes on. The army and relief workers are still struggling to reach the remote rural corner of southwestern China. With the death toll having climbed to over 200 with almost 1,000 injured, concern is now growing for those who escaped the tremor.
More than 48 hours after this quake struck, survivors are complaining that the government has abandoned them. I've had one bottle of water in the last 3 days. Nobody cares, this man complained. In 2008, this area escaped the worst of the damage. So, residents say they benefited little from the region's rebuilding after the disaster. Buildings weren't reinforced, and there were no new evacuation procedures introduced. With strong aftershocks still jolting the region, tens of thousands of people have moved into cars and tents. They either have no homes to go to, or they're too afraid.
The state-run Xinhua news agency has reported that water, food and tents are in short supply in areas that can't be reached. In the hard-hit central part of Lushan County, roofs and walls of buildings have collapsed. Most of the buildings are so badly damaged that restrictions are in place to keep people from entering them. Residents are forced to stay outdoors, but tents and food are in short supply. Some people are fighting over relief goods, while others can be seen resting on mattresses placed atop counters at markets. Chinese government officials say they're doing all they can to help the relief efforts. Some 200 members of the government's emergency rescue team arrived on the scene from Beijing on Sunday morning.
Well, it's an interesting question. We were in the capital of this region yesterday night, and the hospital there in Lushan had actually been abandoned because of the damage to that building. Not all of the damage is obvious. There are hairline cracks in a lot of these buildings deemed unsafe for now to return to. So they had patients in the triage center in the outside of the building trying to do what they can to help those injured. But it's really families like the Gao family behind me who are living in a situation like this, living not even in a real tent, just a lean-to, as it were. The daughter, 7 years old, said that she was very sad that her grandfather had died.